Steel Curtain Network, Know It All Nation. Everybody out there that loves the Steelers and just love watching the podcast. We appreciate you for tapping in. Thanks for tuning in for another Wednesday episode of the Pump Your Brakes podcast. I'm 1-2 today. Our third man is gone. We just had him on the Smash the Gas podcast. It was me, Big G, and Kurt. Big G is, and Wiz got to get his ugly mug out the picture down there on this graphic. Let me put up the right background, Shannon. What we got to look at Big G for? Here we go with our pretty mugs. But yeah, man. So here with Trip OG Shannon, me and him this week. Shannon, what's good, man? What's going on? What's happened since we last talked on here last Wednesday, man?
Not a lot other than, some more ugly weather. I'm done with winter. I'm ready for spring. So the sooner the better.
Hey, man, is it the older we get, the less you like winter? I'm finding that to be a thing.
Oh, definitely. Now, growing up, it made everything harder. Like if you're trying to feed cattle in the wintertime, it's twice as hard as any time else. And so any outdoor activities, it made worse. But when you're young, we get out playing football in the snow or shovel off the asphalt and play basketball. When you live in the Four Seasons country, you do what you got to do. But now that I'm older, I just hate it. I hate ice. I hate snow. I hate the cold. So I always wondered why all the old timers moved to Florida. Now I realize why.
Hey, Shannon, it's funny you said that because, my wife is from down there. We just was there over the Christmas holiday, and we were looking at homes because the plan is for us to be going from up here summer of 27. So I'm on countdown going to Florida.
Going to Florida, exactly.
But yeah, man, I agree with you, man. I mean, because I've said, people probably heard me say this a few times on the podcast. Originally grew up in Ohio, started northeast, Youngstown, up by Pittsburgh, Cleveland. Mom and dad separated, moved to Lime, Ohio, up by Toledo, up by the Michigan, Detroit, up there, northwest corner. Cold everywhere, right? Always cold in the winter. So when I moved here, DC, the DMV now, DC then, 20 years ago, like the cold here didn't bother me. Y'all, this is nothing. What is y'all talking about?
Yeah.
But, you spend a place 20 years in an environment, then you become used to that environment.
Yeah.
So, like this winter, this last 2 days, it just got over like 30. Stuff just started melting a little bit. It just got up to 33 degrees today and yesterday. But before that, the high was like 20, 22. Nighttime, it get down to single digits. That's not normal here. So
no, we had like probably 8 or 9, 10 days below zero. So as you said, yesterday was the first day over freezing, and that was nice. But I think we're supposed to see some 40s next week. But
we are too.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it because it's funny. When I was a kid, I remember chains on the bus. You didn't miss school that often. It had to be bad. And we used to call a bad snowstorm around here how many feet you got. Now, if you get 6 inches, everything shuts down. But I remember that we would make snow tunnels. The snow was so deep. We'd make snow tunnels, and you'd crawl through them, and you would pack it to make ice, and it would be there all winter because they never fully melted.
Right.
Because you just kept getting snow on top of snow.
Oh,
nowadays, it's not like that anymore.
You said they would put the snow tires, the chains and stuff on the school buses?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
See, well, you had a school bus. We had to walk still. The city school, and this was the time. I don't think the kids walk now, not like we used to. But yeah, we had to walk school, and I lived almost 2 miles away from every school I went to. So luckily in high school, I got old enough where I had a friend that was a year older than me. So when I was like a sophomore, I didn't really have to walk. I got to ride, and then eventually got my own car. But all through elementary and junior high, it was stepping. It was stepping.
A lot of people around here have at least a 30-minute bus ride to get to school. See, it ain't like that, in more urban areas.
Right. But I will say, man, shout out to everybody in the live chat. I'm gonna try and get to you guys real quick. I've told some people recently, like, I don't want to go outside doing no temperatures that's below my age. And you know how I am, Shannon. Damn near got to be getting close to springtime when I'm ready to really go out.
Yes, yes. Same here. Same here.
But yeah, shout out to everybody. Mark Cunningham in the building. Money bags. Vincent, is it Vincent Bay? Shout out Vincent. Tyrone, mother of Ashton in the building. Robert, thanks for tapping in. R. Anderson, our member, Reg River, my 901 homie. Shout out Reg, great one. What's going on? Everybody out there, if I missed you, thanks for tapping in. Jaime in the building. Shout out Jaime. Mark Tobin. Thanks everybody for tapping in. Howie. Thank you, everybody. Shannon, what we going to talk about tonight, man? We're going to take our first break so we don't have to be too interrupted after I tell you what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, we hired our coach. Let's talk about that real quick before we take a break. Offensive coordinator. I asked Big G to say his name in the last show, and I don't know the enunciation. Angelico. Okay.
Angelico, so I think you say it.
Is our new offensive coordinator. I believe they finalized hiring him today. I've really been in my NBA bag with the trade deadline and stuff. So I'm kind of late on some of the Steeler news, being this is the time that, man, I got to keep up with both things. But yeah, formerly, and I heard, like initially it came out that Scott Tolzien turned the Steelers down. I've heard all day today that Tolzien wasn't offered the job because the Steelers were so Steelers and McCarthy and the staff, those that hire, were so impressed with Angelico.
Yes.
We're so impressed with him and what his vision for the offense to help Mike McCarthy develop his offense. We know McCarthy's going to call the plays. But he's been the tight end coach and pass game coordinator with the Vikings. Instrumental in TJ Hawkinson's resurgence. They've had he's coached some good tight ends over his career. And like I said at the end of last show, I think we'll see a more of an involvement with Freiermuth getting big numbers this year. You'll see Pat Freiermuth a lot more involved. I think Darnell Washington is one of the must re-signs for the Steelers. I think we see those guys involved more in the passing game and featured a lot more. What do you think about the hire, Shannon?
Well, I was like you. I talked about it the other night because I thought it was pretty much a done deal. I jumped the gun with Tolson, but Angelico is. I like his staff. I wasn't impressed with McCarthy, the hire. Everybody knows. But I am impressed that he seems to have more influence on Art, in that Art is hiring a complete coaching staff. If you notice, every coordinator has an assistant.
Can I tell you real quick, and you can finish my thought on that, because I just told Big G and Kirby.
Yeah.
I think the difference is the Steelers hadn't had a coaching search in 20 years. Before that, it was 23 years before that. I think when they last hired a coach, this wasn't going on. I think the interview cycle this year, they talked to 4 or 5 different coaching candidates, and these candidates said what they would need, and the Steelers, Art and Omar, kept hearing this, and I think they said to themselves, man, we probably do need to get up to speed with what's going on as far as the coaching staff, and I think that allowed McCarthy to be able to bring in more people than what has traditionally been the Steelers' process. My thoughts. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I think that in ways, Tomlin was so involved with everything, and he was so detail-oriented, and he liked to coach a smaller, more intimate staff. But it just now, if you have quality coaches, you expect people to want to poach them at some point. So you need to have assistants ready to step in. You need to keep the flow, the confluence, if you will, of the information and the culture and the schematics to where there isn't a big change unless you're having a complete overhaul like this year's coaching staff. But I've been impressed with the guys he's hired, the quality, the familiarity, because, again, the Roonies do not want to take a step back. So they want to hit the ground running. Well, you got the combine coming up. You got pro days coming up. You got free agency decisions. They want to have this in place. And one of the easiest ways for McCarthy to do that is he has ties or is familiar with pretty much everybody. if you've noticed, a lot of the new hires have Pittsburgh ties, whether to the collegiate, to the Steelers, or to the area. So it's going to hopefully make for a smoother transition. I remember Cowher hitting the ground running because Cowher was a Pennsylvania guy, let's say. And it seemed like he hit the ground running with his staff and everything. And hopefully McCarthy can do the same thing.
Yeah, no, I really think he's got off to a good start. I like the coaching staff. I don't have any complaints. I mean, maybe I kept Carl Dunbar, maybe. You know,
we love Carl Dunbar.
Yeah, well, I think he proved that him and Denzel Martin proved to be good development guys, right?
Yeah,
I mean, they developed.
Yeah.
Look at that edge room. Look at the production you've got over the edge room. And Denzel Martin's been there for years with TJ. You see Highsmith, you see Herbig, and then on the D line, we saw this year with Harmon and Y.A. Black and Ben. Even though he played out of position, I think a new coaching staff will get Ben out of that nose position. I think we'll see that. So I think those two did a good job. They obviously kept McCurley. He was on McCarthy's staff in Dallas. He was with the Steelers his first year as inside linebackers coach. We did lose Gerald Alexander, who went to the Raiders to be more of a defensive coordinator assistant. I believe defensive pass game coordinator, which next step up from that is defensive coordinator. So we lost him. I think that's a big loss. I think he did great work with the corners last year. So, I mean, I don't know what they do there, but past that, I'm impressed with the staff.
I like the fact they kept Tom Arth because even if Rodgers don't come back, you want Will Howard to have that familiarity, and he knows Will Howard better than anybody in the building. And as you say, they kept the linebackers coach, and I like the fact that they have two offensive line coaches. They have
Carmen and Jabari Evans.
Yeah, and they've got a younger guy, not too far removed from the NFL, to maybe be that intercessor, that vocal piece between the players and the coach and staff.
He has playing credibility. I've heard Carmen compared to Mike Munchak from a coaching aspect, and I think he's older. He's been out of the league for 2 or 3 years, but you still don't lose how to teach offensive line. I think they're just got Jabari Evans in the wings waiting to take over the job
exactly
after a year or two when Carmen gets this thing started and is ready to go.
I think it's, like I said, I have no problem with the staff. I think some of them, especially on the offensive side, have we know McCarthy's well-versed in offense anyway. That's his forte. But they have some different philosophies. And all the coaching staff on both sides of the ball have shown an ability to adapt their schemes to the talent on hand. So I think that bodes well for the first year or two, that they will get the most out of what they already have and what they accumulate in free agency in the draft.
No, I agree. Well, with that being said, we're going to take our first break, and we'll be right back, and we'll get into the deeper discussion. We'll do a deep dive on what the plans are between now and the draft, man. As Shannon and I see it, obviously we don't know, but we're going to give you guys our best predictions or hopes. Probably hopes. We can't predict it either. We can say this is how we hope things play out. And if you watch it on YouTube, we're not going anywhere. If you listen on the audio platform, wherever you're listening on the Steel Curtain Network, we'll be right back after this, after you hear a few words from our partners and advertisers. And we'll be right back with more Pump Your Brakes right after this.
They're here.
Welcome back.
And we're back on the Pump Your Brakes podcast on the Steel Curtain Network, Know It All's Nation. Thanks for tapping in. Everybody that's here to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers and what's next, what we see, our vision of what the plans could be as we go forward. Like I said, we hired the last major piece today as far as the coaching staff. We hired the offensive coordinator. We got the defensive coordinator, obviously, and most of the other coaches might be a coach here or there. We need to go ahead and fill a spot or two. But for the majority of what needs to be done to assemble a staff, we've done. And Shannon and I were just talking about it. So far, so good. We think we're pleased at what's been put together so far in Pittsburgh for the 2026 coaching staff. But there's still much more work that needs to be done. Shannon and I will talk about it. I'm going to ask Shannon these questions, and I'm just going to piggyback off some of the stuff, some of his ideas, and say what I think about those particular things. But Shannon, the process, then what's next is the rest of the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mike McCarthy and his staff coming in new. We knew for 19 years what the expectation that this team's identity would be. I think the Steelers have to establish a new identity, not necessarily a new identity. Maybe McCarthy knows Pittsburgh through and through growing up. Maybe he knows that it's important to have a tough defense. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about his coaching philosophy, which is coming from an offensive perspective. We'll talk about what, around some game plan stuff. Well, how you think he wants to attack. Omar Khan, the roster management. We'll talk about guys we think that might not be here, guys that make too much money and could be gone. Briefly talk about free agency. We won't know about that till it's time. What Aaron Rodgers is going to do. Potential cuts, and we'll talk about the salary cap did increase, I believe, by about projected $25 to $29 million. And any trades that might happen. So we're going to get into all this stuff one way or another. We're just about to have just a discussion about all these things. Tap in the live chat. Let us know what you think. We'll pull up the comments that we can. If you really want to be heard, go ahead and drop a super chat, and we'll pull that up. We appreciate everybody for rocking with us. But Shannon, let me ask you, you've been a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, football fan your entire life. Mm-hmm. And I think for that entire time you've been a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you've seen the Steelers play one brand of football, and that's tough, hard-nosed, defensive first. And even when we had the killer beat era, I still think, Big Ben was that kind of, on the offensive side, Big Ben was that kind of quarterback, right?
Oh,
he was tough. He was hard-nosed. He was blue-collar. Big Ben was all those things on the offensive side of the ball. And we had a killer offensive line then that was dominant, was physical, and all those things. So my question to you is, going forward, Mike McCarthy, and you already mentioned about his Pittsburgh influence and ties and growing up in, is it Greenfield, Pittsburgh area where he was from? Mm-hmm. And some of the coaching staff, they hired one of the Signetti's brother, Kurt Signetti's brother, to take on the role. Dante Scarnecchia's son, I forget his first name, to be, part of the staff. They got a lot of quality football guys here. Yes. What kind of identity you think the Steelers are trying to build going into this season, Shannon?
Well, first off, I got to say something. I was as disappointed with the McCarthy hire as anybody, and I was very vocal about it. We all were. I don't think very many people were excited. It was very disappointing. That being said, there's nothing that can be done about it now. So now we have to, I don't think people want to come on here every week and listen to us whine that they didn't get, you can cry over spilt milk for only so long. I think that I have to give this coaching staff the benefit of the doubt. Now, what have we talked about for a long time? We wanted a full coaching staff. We wanted attention to detail from the staff. And it was too small to do that. It was not sustainable in the current NFL environment. But the Steelers are addressing that. And also if I was a coach and I'm starting over from scratch, I would want a staff that I felt comfortable with, I'd worked with before, that I was familiar with. I knew that I could count on to do the work, put in the time, and be a professional. And I think that's what McCarthy's trying to do. So I don't think nobody wants to come on here and listen to us whine every week till the season starts and hope for the best. I think they want real answers, real observations, and real opinions. And that's what we're going to try to do. So my opinion never changed. But I will evaluate this coaching staff as fairly as I possibly can. And like I said, I have not seen anything in the hires thus far that just says, oh, gosh, that's terrible. That's a failure. I have been encouraged by a lot of these hires because, again, a coach, in my opinion, is only as good as his supporting cast. And that includes the coaches and coordinators, not just the roster. But to answer your question, I think that, or what I hope, and I think McCarthy's on the same wave, is a team of balance. See, I'm old enough to remember the Steelers in the 70s, and they were Franco Harris and a cloud of dust on offense, and the most dominant defense I ever saw. Then that started to change as Mean Joe had his shoulder injury, which never fully healed, and he always had one weaker arm, and that's why he played cockeyed on the nose. And, he was still dominant, but he couldn't do some of the things he could do when he was a youngster. So the defense went from being super dominant to just good, great at times, but they'd have some games they give up some points. But that's when the offense caught up, and I thought it towards the end surpassed the defense because you had Bradshaw and Swan and Stallworth and Franco, So what I'm saying is that was the closest I ever seen a team that I believe could have won 6 or 7 championships in a row. Now, you can't do that now with free agency, but back then you could. And I think they could have won barring those ill-timed injuries in the playoffs. I think the Steelers would have won at least 6 in a row. But
so they won 2, missed 2, won 2. So you saying those years they 2
in the middle
they could have won?
It was all the running backs one year, all the receivers the next. It was just crazy. But what I'm saying is they went through a long time trying to duplicate that. Well, that was incredible. I don't think there'll ever be a team that compares. So they went through the 80s wasted time. Then they got in the 90s, and again, they were top-heavy on defense. But they did have Neil O'Donnell and those 5 great receivers. They went 5 deep in that Super Bowl run. And
can you name them? Remind me.
Okay, then Yancey
Thigpen,
Ernie Mills, Andre Hastings,
Georgia,
Cordell Stewart, and Charles Johnson. Or was he there yet?
I think he may have been there. Yeah, he may have been young, like a rookie. That
but I mean, what I'm saying is they went at least 5 deep. I know I'm forgetting somebody, but what I'm saying is they almost won, right? And then once Ben and them come along, it was the perfect time. They dropped their franchise quarterback on a roster that was ready to compete for a championship. And it worked out lovely there for about 6 years. They made it to 3 Super Bowls and won 2 of them. But since that time, they have not had balance. And in the NFL, if you look at both of the 2 Super Bowl teams this year, if you look at the Final 4 teams this year, they had a degree of balance.
Mm-hmm.
And the Steelers haven't had that. And so I'm hoping that that's what the focus is going to be on for McCarthy in this coaching staff. KT Smith did a really good article about explosive play rate and where the teams that were successful this year ranked. And then the Steelers have really struggled with that for a while. This year they had explosive plays, but all their successful games rushing the football, they had multiple big runs, of over 15 yards. Other than that, they had a lot of 2-yard runs. So it wasn't, see what I'm saying? It wasn't sustainable to sustain long drives. And then when you consider all the passing behind the line of scrimmage with Aaron Rodgers, that killed their explosive play rate.
When you're not getting chunks, offensive football becomes harder because you have to be more on script. You can't take negative plays. You can't let that stuff happen. So explosive play rate is a good stat. I mean, you need to have any scoring drive. You need to have at least 1, maybe 2 big plays over 10, 12 yards, 15 yards in any drive. That's a scoring drive. You need that.
Yeah,
you can't just be 4 or 5 yards all the way down the field.
Exactly. And it also keeps defenses honest. If a defense knows that everything you're doing is within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, it's very easy to defend. Against the Houston Texans, they were not scared of our deep game at all. And they played downhill the whole game. You can't run the ball. You can't pass it because you get no yak yards. So I think McCarthy realizes that needs addressed.
No, I agree. So a balance is what we want to see. Is
Yes.
that an identity? Do you think we still maintain like the ethos and the feel and the vibe of Pittsburgh? I mean, it's not the steel. It's still the Steel City, but steel mills have closed. The Blue Heart hats have been turned in. It's a lot of more tech jobs in Pittsburgh and stuff now. I mean, the it's changed a bit, but do you think for the Steelers, we as fans, people in Pittsburgh, still identify with that blue collar mentality and that kind of tough chip on your shoulder kind of football?
I think 100%. I think it's the culture. I think it's the mindset. I would love for it to be defensive oriented. The problem is defense travels. Defense, shows up in the playoffs. Ours hasn't, but it does. Really excellent defense shows up, especially in the big moments. You get two quality teams together with explosive offenses like we saw with the Rams and the Seattle. That game was a lot more offense than I think a lot of people thought. But you seen when it mattered, Seattle's defense showed up. And that's what the Steelers' defense always done. And so I'd love for it to be like it used to be, but we're never going back. You can't play defense like the Steelers used to play. Now it's a 15-yard penalty. It's a roughing the passer. You'll get ejected for hitting a guy coming across the middle, defenseless receiver. They'll throw you out of the game. It's a different animal. So defense to me, everybody's like, I want to see the big sacks and the knockout hits, and I want to see 3 and out. If our defense can go out there, stop them on 3 and make a punt, I'm happy. I don't care if anybody got knocked out. I don't care if, it was this. I just want to see them stop people. And this year, Tate, you know what I'm saying. How many long drives was there against the Steelers if they couldn't get a turnover? It was 13 play drives, 14 play drives, 5 minutes of possession. And even if they only got a field goal, they had the ball forever, the other team. Because the defense can't get off the field on third down, especially third and long. Now, if they're getting sacks, guess what else happens? They get fumbles, they get interceptions, and they stop teams. But if they weren't getting those turnovers and those sacks, they were ineffective. So they have to have a balance. And if you look at Patrick Graham as the defensive coordinator for the Raiders, and they had Crosby as a superstar, and that was about it.
Crosby and 10 other guys.
Yeah. And they had a much better time of possession. They give up less explosive plays. They give up far fewer third and long conversions. So he took what he had and made a stable defense. What killed their defense, if you go back and look at the statistics, is their offense kept putting them in terrible position. So if McCarthy can bring a quality offense to Pittsburgh, it will only help Patrick Graham and that defense.
Let me summarize what I heard you say. Everything you said, I heard you say we need more splash on offense and don't worry about the splash on defense.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you get off the field 3 plays, I'm happy.
Right.
Yeah.
And get more big plays on offense, we're happy.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah. No, I mean, I agree. So let's transition real quick. And I agree with you on everything you said. I think from identity standpoint, you just want to be known as a defense that can stand up and bow up when it's time to.
Yes.
We may not get 55, 60 sacks every year. You know what I mean? But you want to have those numbers where you have a good get off the field on third down rate. Good, third down, stopping people on third down, giving
look
up
at that
under
2008 team. I mean, in the Super Bowl, they let the Cardinals go right down. Larry Fitzgerald made a great play. Warner and Fitzgerald, they took the lead. And, that they played a good game pretty much, and they blew it. See, one play could change your destiny, and it just totally did. except Ben and Holmes come back and save the day. Or else we'd be talking about the Steelers having another Super Bowl loss in there. So,
Right.
But so many times, like against Seattle, remember at the end of that game, the defense come up, Woodley come up big. And then against the Cardinals, when the Cardinals got the ball back, the defense come up. That's what I care about. To me, you win as a team and you lose as a team. And if you say, well, our offense is really good, but our defense killed us, or vice versa, that means you don't have balance.
Right. No, I agree. So what do we think about as far as what game planning? Like what do you think McCarthy will do different than what, say, and we're talking just offense. We know Graham's going to run a 4-3, a 3-4, I mean. And I think Graham has been stated and been said that he builds his defense around what his players do well. He doesn't try and force his players to do what he wants his defense to be. He uses what his players do well to craft his defense. And I like that aspect.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that aspect. Well, not all coaches. Some coaches think it's their systems, but I hate to tell you,
not everybody has common sense.
Yeah, it's not always about the X's and O's. It's about the Jimmys and Joes. You heard that before.
Yeah.
So defense, we won't really get into too much of that right now because I think the difference is Pittsburgh's known to have a really good defense. Even if this year the defense fell off and gave up some stuff this year, we think that's more correctable, I believe. Different play caller, more aggression, simple things can change that, right? Offensively, though, we've been inept, and even when we were good, but I don't think that the last coordinator with Big Ben, his buddy, what am I thinking about?
Bruce Arians. Oh no. Oh crap! I want to say
was the QB coach at first.
Huh?
Was Ben's QB coach, and they made him off.
Yeah. I can't think of his name.
Randy Fichtner.
Yeah.
So, but I think the Steelers' offense might not have been good then, but we had 7, and 7 had the cachet and could do what he wanted to do. So some of the stuff we saw working when 7 was playing, that might not have been play calls. That might have been just 7-7ing.
Oh, it definitely was.
Yeah.
It was
so
him.
The last 7 years, let's say, we haven't had good offense at all.
No.
It's been a game
not
here, a game there. So the offense under the last couple of years of Big Ben, because he was older and messed up his elbow, I think. And that's when we started the little short passing game and stuff. And then we transitioned to Canada. We know that was a disaster. Got rid of him, went to Arthur Smith. It was a little better than it was with Canada, but still nothing. Nothing to write home about, which is better than if the bar is Canada, you got to exceed that. Then 30 other offensive coordinators are going to exceed that.
I don't think Canada's coaching high school now. I mean, I told everybody before he ever got fired, I said he'll never have another job in the NFL. That was the worst coordinator I ever saw. And I stand by that to this day. And if he ever comes back anywhere in the NFL, even a janitor, I'll be shocked.
Say no, don't let him in no organization.
No.
But so with McCarthy being an offensive guy, we've seen what he's done to his staff and some of the offensive coaches and stuff he's brought into Pittsburgh. What are you expecting from the offense? I think that's where we'll see the most drastic change year over year is what the offense looks like. What do you think the offense looks like from what they're trying to do, what they're trying to identify, and far as, what McCarthy draws up? What are you expecting?
Well, I'll say this. I've always talked about Tomlin's conservative nature on offense. That's why he hired Matt Canada, because of their relationship, their friendship that had developed. And I think he's the one that told the Rooneys about Canada, and that's why he got the shot he got. Then I think they hired Arthur Smith because he's as old school as Tomlin. But we also know that Art Rooney is old school. Art wants the 3 yards in a cloud of dust. He wants the consistent running game. He wants them to convert and have time of possession, and so do I. But now there's a different way of doing that. And to successfully do that against all these specialized defenses and all the different sub packages and all the talents that they can throw at you on defense now, you have to have a variety on offense. But I guarantee you one thing you can't do is avoid one area of the field like it's the plague. And the Steelers have avoided the middle of the field forever. Now, the first difference I think we're going to see out of McCarthy's offense, based on what he showed at Green Bay and Dallas, is they will utilize the middle of the field. I think we're going to see crossers. I think we're going to see tight ends, different routes all the time is floating in the middle of the field. There is going to be outlets. There's going to be options across the middle, not just outside the numbers. And the Steelers, what little success they had this year on explosive play rate was across the middle. That was by far their most effective area. And we know why, because nobody expected him to throw there. It surprised us as fans. Every time they throw across the middle, we're celebrating, like it's Hanukkah, because they threw across the freaking middle. I think I'm looking forward to the day that it doesn't shock us that we expect that as part of the offense. Once they do that, you'll see everything open up. Just like Ben Johnson did with Williams in Chicago. He opened up everything when he allowed Williams to target the complete field. And we've seen Williams, he did better than I thought he would ever do. But what did it take? It took a change of philosophy, a coach who believed in him, and called the plays accordingly. And I think we can see that if you get the right quarterback. Now, I'm not in the camp. I'm not excited about Rodgers coming back. I'll just say it. Everybody, if you disagree with me, that's fine. I would rather see, this year as you're developing your young talent, I like to see him get younger. I'd like to see him get more explosive, more up to date offensively. And that's why I'd rather see a Will Howard and, whoever free agent and maybe even a draft pick, throw them and let them learn and take our licks this year to be ready for the next year.
No, I mean, I agree with a lot of stuff you said, and we're going to talk about the quarterback and everything else. We're going to take a quick break. If you're with us, stay. If you're with us, we're not going anywhere on YouTube. We're just going to take a quick break for our audio listeners. We have to hear a few words from our advertisers and partners. And we'll be right back after this on Pump Your Brakes on the Steel Curtain Network. Stay with us. Like I said, we'll be right back.
Welcome back, welcome back.
And we're back on the Pump Your Brakes podcast on a Wednesday night. Your boy Tate and the Triple OG Shannon White in the building talking some Steeler football as we really, after Super Bowl is this week, and we'll go ahead and make our pick for that, Shannon, at the very end, our last thing we do. Don't have to get too much into it. We're not talking about Steelers there, just picking the game. But so you brought up quarterback. In the camp, I'm agree with you. I mean, I know what Aaron Rodgers is. I think he can be good. That's more a product to me of them wanting to try and compete next year, to compete to make it to the playoffs, not to compete to win a championship. You're setting yourself up to be a year behind still if that's what you do. I mean, I think, the team would be better with Aaron Rodgers next year than a rookie. But you need to know, or even a new guy. A new young guy is good, right? You need to see something different. And I've said it before, I became a fan of Aaron Rodgers this past year. I like Aaron Rodgers. I like what he brought to the Steelers for that 1 year. I think he's a heck of a leader. But I mean, it's parts of his game. I mean, if you do that, you're trying to win now, and you're going to do some things based off that you wouldn't do if you just go ahead and start trying to build anew. We won't say rebuild. We'll say build anew, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, so to me, the quarterback, I like to see Will Howard in it. I mean, I think they're going to bring Aaron Rodgers back unless he decides he's going to retire. He's going to make a decision. Not McCarthy, not Art. Aaron Rodgers is going to make that decision about what he wants to do. If he wants to come back, they're going to welcome with open arms for one more year. Benefit of that is, yeah, they can win 10 games, maybe. I think is the ceiling. 11 is you just go through the roof a little bit next year. He's familiar with McCarthy and what McCarthy wants to do, attacking the defense and stuff. Those things will be different. It's been 6 years since they've played together, coach and player. But, I mean, we're still putting off the inevitable, right? Go ahead, rip the Band-Aid off this year. Let that healing start to happen. Let that scab get some air and start to heal. So, for me, quarterback, I think Will Howard in the competition. Shannon, you've mentioned the free agent you like. The kid Badgett out of Chicago.
Chicago's he ain't a free agent. They'd have to trade for him.
Right, but and maybe I think I've heard this week that Mac Jones is off the board. I'm kind of glad of that. San Francisco doesn't want to part with Mac Jones unless
I didn't want Mac Jones.
Yeah, I didn't want him either. But unless it's a second round pick, I hear Kyle Shanahan wants to keep him. I think he's a solid backup and stuff like that. But I mean, I would a project. A new guy, Will Howard and Mason Rudolph, and just sees what happened in camp. Do you think we go to Latrobe again for the same type thing? Same kind of camp?
Again, like you said, it's going to depend on what Aaron Rodgers decides to do.
If we go to Latrobe or not? Aaron Rodgers dictated if we go to Latrobe or not?
Well, I mean, as far as before they make a decision, here's the thing. If you bring Mac Rodgers, you can still build a new offense, put it all in, get it operational, to whereas because Will Howard can run the same type of offense. Any quarterback you draft, maybe a franchise guy next year, in the 27 draft, would probably be somebody that can run this offense. So, it isn't like something totally crazy, like if you tried to build an offense around somebody like Lamar Jackson. I mean, the offense they would try to, like the offense they tried to put together for Russell Wilson, it wasn't suitable and system friendly for Justin Fields. In this case, any offense that McCarthy's going to put in, I think will fit Will Howard and whoever the other quarterback may be.
I think, and we kind of mentioned that. I think that's product of the coaches. I think Arthur Smith was trying to make the quarterbacks fit his system versus building a system around the quarterback.
Yeah, and McCarthy's already said that they're going to do things differently, and they've all showed that flexibility and adaptability to adapt to the talent they have, not the talent they wish they had. I mean, I kept hearing, "Oh, we need a mobile quarterback." Well, you don't got one. Why do you keep wishing for it? Figure out how to be effective without a mobile quarterback. Teams do it. I mean, the Rams have an explosive offense, and Stafford's not mobile. There's different quarterbacks that are very effective that are not great runners or scramblers. So, but I just think that for the quarterback position, whoever they bring, well, I've heard Willis talked about a lot. Now, Willis looks really good in Green Bay's offense. That team goes 5 receivers deep. They have a plethora of receivers. They have good running back. There's things right now the Steelers don't have. So before we decide on what quarterback we're trying to reach for, I think we need to realize that they need to address the left-hand side of the line. Because whether it's Rodgers or Howard or Willis, they got to improve that left-hand side of the line. They have to find at least 3 wide receivers. Because last year it was Metcalf, who's not reliable. His hands are not reliable. He is not a high production guy. He's a big play guy. Once he gets the ball in his hands and he actually catches it, he's an incredible athlete. But he's not a guy you can count on to be reliable on third down and tough catches in traffic and everything. He's not a hands catcher. So they got to find that guy. Maybe that's free agency. Maybe it's an early round draft pick. Then they got to add a couple more guys. And because Calvin Austin's not the answer. Roman Wilson in a new offense might be more of an answer with the right quarterback. I see, again, if you bring back Aaron Rodgers, I think Wilson's going to be sitting on the sidelines because Rodgers likes older receivers. He wants to bring back Valdez Scantling. He brought in Thielen 3 years too late. I mean, he liked those old guys because he knew what they were going to do. But if they can't get open anymore, it doesn't matter.
Well, did you hear this week that
younger? I want to see him get younger and develop. And to me, bringing back Rodgers is the opposite of that.
Did you hear this week that it was said? I don't know if he said it. Somebody got it. That Roman Wilson don't want to come back if Rodgers is the quarterback.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, it's understandable. Yeah,
I think that when you watch him, he has talent. But again, just like I think it's why Aaron Rodgers and Tomlin got along so well, because neither one had any patience for young guys. Because young guys make mistakes. The only way they learn is you got to figure out if they make a mistake, do they learn from it and they don't do it again? Now, if they're like Broderick Jones, they make a mistake and they do the same thing week after week because they don't learn from it. Then just time to move on. But you got to let young guys make mistakes or they never learn.
Well, two questions. Let me address the super chat, I believe, from Big G's burner account. It's not Big G. Big G's Just for Men beard, $2. Says, I'm available if you need me to fill in. I don't think that's Big G because we just left Big G on Smash the Gas. So he knows. So, but thanks for the $2, Big G Just for Men. And I think, I'm just guessing. I don't know for certain. I don't know for a fact. I think that's the homie pay for Frustrated Chicago sports fan. And check us out in the homies tomorrow night. I believe that's pay. I don't know for a fact. I just think it is. But yeah, so no, I agree with everything you said, Shannon. To me, one of our biggest needs in the draft is a wide receiver. And
definitely.
If you draft a wide receiver, what's that mean? He's going to be a young wide receiver.
Yes.
So will that guy be a problem with Aaron Rodgers? As far as Malik Willis goes, I like Malik Willis. I can see McCarthy and some Dak Prescott from what I see with Malik Willis. I can see McCarthy kind of working with that. I've heard Kyler Murray. I don't want that. That costs too much money, and I don't think he's too short. His athleticism is on the downside. I don't believe in that. But I think if you bring in somebody like Malik Willis, I mean, what do you think about the project quarterbacks? Some of those guys out there, or even a bridge quarterback like Kirk Cousins, or that's more Aaron Rodgers, right? We don't want none of that.
No. I don't want 28 or younger is what I want at quarterback. I want somebody that if they do work out pretty good, that they can be around for a few years, at least to help bring in the next franchise guy. Kind of, help teach him the ropes and mentor. I don't want an old timer and wondering every year they're going to retire. That's what we've been dealing with. And so there's really not a lot of free agent quarterbacks right now or guys available that excite me at all. That's why that I would rather, as Ben had already suggested, use these draft picks to build this roster, learn the new system, the new coaching staff, and be ready to drop in your next quarterback, hopefully in 2027.
Let me ask you a question, Shannon, based off Black Magic's comment. Said, we need a corner. I think we drafted a young corner. I don't know how soon. We need, I'll say a guard, not guards. I think we could use a guard, singular. Yeah. Tackle. I mean, some tackles available. I don't know if you draft. I don't think you draft tackle earlier. I think you see what this new coaching staff can do with Broderick Jones and Cook and those guys. So who knows? Those guys have talent. Broderick Jones hasn't taken to the learning aspect of it. Maybe a different teacher, you get different stuff out of him. He has the physical attributes. He has the size, the speed, the fluidness and all that stuff. He's a heck of an athlete. Let's see what this new coaching staff can do with him. And Herbig acting, I don't think he's acting like that. I think Herbig just wants to get paid. He deserves to play. He's a good player. And the Steelers have to make a decision somewhere with something. Either trade him. Ideally, you trade TJ Watt. I know Shannon's on board with that too. And you roll with Herbig, Highsmith, and Sawyer, and maybe you draft another guy in the 3rd or 4th round to develop behind those guys. But you gotta stay young,
Yeah.
And that's what Shannon said the whole time. You kind of have to stay young. So I agree with that. So the quarterback is wait and see. I heard they let Aaron Rodgers know they need his decision before free agency, which I believe is like 6 weeks away before you can officially start, that free agent engine running. So we'll see what that looks like. So Shannon, the roster, anybody you want to see cut or you think is going to get cut?
Oh gosh. Jonnu Smith, I don't see being back. Yeah. I thought that right at the end of the trade deadline, I was like, they need to trade Jonnu because he had no chemistry with Aaron Rodgers. They were not on the same page at all. Steelers had no idea how to use him. I think he had for the most targets, he had the lowest average depth. Everything was within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage. They just did not know how to use him. And they don't use the tight ends well anyway. I mean, they threw 5-yard passes to Washington and he run over people and got 5-10 more. They didn't use Freiermuth nearly enough. And then you had Jonnu Smith, who was just a Pro Bowler, who could play like kind of a pseudo number wide receiver too. If you use him within, let him run 10-yard routes. They never did. And when he did get down the field, him and Rodgers were missing each other like crazy. If you remember the playoff game, he was wide open and Rodgers overthrew him 10 yards because he thought he was supposed to settle and Rodgers thought he was going to keep going. They just couldn't get on the same page. So to me, the two things I'd want to see I'd be most happy about is they need to just waive or cut whatever Jonnu. And if there's anybody that wants TJ Watt, put the word out. Third round pick. I don't give a crap. If you'll take most of his contract, you can have him. Let him go to a contender. That's what I said when they signed him. There's no sense in having the highest paid guy at any position if you're that far away from being a Super Bowl contender. Watt wants to win something. He needs that for his career. He needs to go somewhere where he has that opportunity because it ain't Pittsburgh. And also it would get his salary off the books and help with this rebuild. So to me, it only makes sense that Watt is somewhere else.
So I agree with you. I hear that the Steelers after June 1 can trade TJ, or even if they wanted to just part ways with him, and he can leave with $10 million. I mean $30 million, and the Steelers will be responsible for his dead cap this year. If they trade him, they would be responsible for the dead cap, which is $30 million. I mean, however that works out, I think TJ being gone because the salary cap just went up by about like $25 to $30 million.
Yeah.
So we're not paying the quarterback right now. Yeah, this is the time to do it. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah. If you don't have no buyers, this could definitely be the time to do it. Go ahead, reward Herbig. Highsmith's under contract. You got Sawyer coming up. I think Patrick Queen is back. He could be a cap savings. If they cut him, they could save $13.5 million. He's $17 million on the cap. But if they cut him, they only he's $2.5 million against the cap, dead cap. So,
and I'm perfectly fine with that. But they're going to have to focus maybe first round pick on fulfilling that position.
Yeah, no. So I think this Patrick Queen's last year. I think you see what he looks like under Patrick Graham. You go ahead and pay him. Now I think Jalen Ramsey could be going because when they redid his contract after the trade and stuff, I think they can get off him for no money, or trade him and get something for him if somebody wants him.
Yeah.
So
and again, a contender. See, the Steelers have had this opportunity back when we were regular contenders. They were one player away, two players away. And, depending on what happens with the Patriots might be like, TJ be a great fit, I think, with Vrabel and with that defense. And I think they would be able to maximize what he still has. And that might push them over if they don't make it this year. But they got the young quarterback, franchise quarterback. They got it. They got the coach.
Franchise quarterback, they're going to pay for 2 more years, too.
Exactly.
3
And
more
they can
years.
take on that salary, and that might put them over the top. That's what I'm saying. It's not that I don't love TJ and everything he's done with the Steelers. It's just, it doesn't make sense, that salary on this roster.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, offensively, you said Jonnu Smith. You think Siamalu comes back? He's out of contract.
I think it wouldn't shock me if he don't retire.
Okay.
I mean, I just think that my impression and my experience is when guys get hurt that often and they can't practice through the week, and I mean, the body, he might be feeling it right now that, hey, he's actually feeling halfway decent because he ain't putting his body through that, and he doesn't look forward to doing it again. A lot of those guys just decide it's time.
Yeah, no, I agree that could happen. I think Cam Hayward is back. He was on with Rich Eisen yesterday on Super Bowl Row, Rich Eisen's podcast. He didn't say I'm coming back, but everything he said indicated he wants to give this thing one more go.
He didn't want to play anywhere else. Yeah.
Right. I'm trying to just go across the. You think Gainwell's back?
No, I said Monday, me and Daniel was talking a little bit about it on The Hangover. I think Gainwell finally got a chance to get a lot more playing time. He capitalized with Aaron Rodgers. They had a good chemistry. He made a lot of big plays. He was their most reliable offensive weapon, most consistent throughout the year. I think he earned a big paycheck, his first one, maybe his last one.
Yeah,
So
probably.
I think he'll
27. Yeah,
I think he'll go to
the money
because we know 30 is the cutoff with most running backs. So I think he'll go take the biggest contract he'll ever get, and hopefully, I wish him success as long as he ain't playing the Steelers. But yeah, I think it only makes sense for him to go elsewhere.
Okay, so that's Warren and you believe in Caleb Johnson going forward? He needs opportunity.
Yeah, with the right opportunity. I mean, again, after the whole kickoff device, fiasco, I think that he was kind of in a proverbial doghouse. He'd come in, he'd run into the back of one of his linemen, and he was right out of the game. I mean, it was like the only way he was going to stay in the game if he broke off a 30-yarder on his first run. And, that I don't think he's the type of running back that I think's got to work up a lather, so to speak. Like the guys back from the 80s and the 90s, and he got stronger as the game goes on. Yeah, and he never got that chance. And it really wasn't that kind of offense. They couldn't sustain drives. So he was never going to get, 3 or 4 or 5 carries in a drive. And so I think with the right system, with more talent at the wideout positions and keeping the defense honest, I think we'll see a better running game for Warren and Johnson.
Okay. No, I agree. So with that being said, that's kind of some of the guys that could be cut will be back. I think we need to upgrade the wide receiver room. I think you need another defensive lineman or two. Like I said, I think Jalen Ramsey's going. I hope they bring Asante Samuel back, even over James Pierre, if there's a choice between the two. I think Samuel's just a better pedigree and a better cover corner. I think Pierre was valuable in what he did for Mike Tomlin's defense and on special teams. But if I'm picking between the two, I'm going with the pedigree guy. So we need another corner too in the draft, and we need a safety. I mean, so yeah. I mean, we'll see how that shakes out. Is there anything else, Shannon? Did we? Okay, thanks for telling me, because I should be looking at that screen. We got a super chat. Thank you. From BSG74. With 12 picks, would it be better to use them all and sign less draft free agents? No, I think with 12 picks, we don't use them. Shannon, I believe, is of the same. And thanks for the $5, BSG. Of the same thought, I think with these picks, you use the picks to try and get the best 7 players you can get, because 12 players not going to make the roster. So to me, if you can trade that back half of the draft and move up each time you identify somebody that you think you 10, 15 picks too far to get, you use some of that back end asset, no Diddy, to move up and draft the guy that you really want instead of just taking who falls to you. The thought, Shane.
Here's what I want. Watch the Baltimore Ravens manipulate the draft board. They trade up, they trade back, they accumulate picks for the next year's draft. But they seldom pick right where they're supposed to. Why? Because they always have a surplus of selections. The Ravens always have at least 10 picks. I don't know how many they got this year, but every year it seems like they got extra picks. As you say, hey, you're muted.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to chime in. That's because they always losing player and they get compensatory picks every year.
Yeah, but they also have great relationships around the NFL with other GMs, and they move around. So this year, as you say, if there's a guy you're targeting and he's going to be in the second round, don't hope and pray he falls to you. Trade up to get him that round. And then if somebody comes to you and wants to do the same thing, you're like, okay, I'll take a pick next year. And that's okay. We'll sling you a fourth rounder next year to move up in this round. Hey, as long as you keep the capital, you're adding because you want more picks next year too. So like you said, I'd rather see him come out with 8 or even 9 guys because we're going to lose a lot of free agents this year. I mean, there's 23, I think, and there's like 4 or 5 I want back. So they're going to lose a lot of guys. So you want to get maybe 8 or 9 picks if there's guys that you think can make the squad. Then, but in that, not just trading up and around, trade back to get picks for next year. Use that, move around. That's how the modern game is played. And I think that Khan, especially Waddle, know that and have the relationships around the NFL that Colbert never had.
We'll call that. We'll give that a name. And I'm coining it right now. You never heard it before, but that's the draft hustle. That's what that is right there.
I'll take it. I like that.
That's what Shannon just described. Yep, you got to be ready to get your draft hustle on.
Yep.
But yeah, man, anything else you want to say before we get ready to get out of here, man? I think it's been a great discussion. Go ahead.
We gonna make our prediction?
Oh yeah, the Super Bowl. Thanks, man. Yeah. So yeah, I'll go first. Big G ain't here to tell nobody who to go first. So yeah, man, how I see the Super Bowl playing out, and we have a know-it-all show. Super Bowl Sunday, we'll go early. We don't want to be Super Bowl starts at round 6, and that's when.
Yeah.
So we'll go a little early that day. Just wait and see. Look for the time. I'll say it probably tomorrow night on the homie to let you know. But the way I see it playing out, man, for one, let's just be honest. I don't want New England to have more Super Bowls than Pittsburgh, so I'm rooting for Seattle. 1. 2, I think Seattle's defense can get after Drake May. He's been taking sacks all year. Steelers turned him over. He looked bad against Denver. If Bo Nix had to play, I think Denver wins that game 17-10, something like that. That game was on Stidham, and the fact that Sean Payton didn't kick the field goal. But at the time, I agree with it. Go ahead and try and step on their neck. But in a game like that, you got to get the points. But Sam Darnold had the best game of his entire career against the Rams. He's a reclamation project who's panned out, who could win a Super Bowl. Keep in mind, he's having a great year, but he threw 14 interceptions, 3rd most in the league. So the real Sam Darnold's still in there. He's just supported by an incredible defense. I think they can do just enough to get the Patriots. I think you get Kenneth Walker, that run game going, and I think Jackson Smith and Jigba has a really good game. I'm going to take the Seahawks to win this game 27-20 in Super Bowl 60. And the Seahawks stop the Patriots from overtaking the Steelers 6 Super Bowls, and they stay tied.
Well, I said it on the Hangover Monday. I can't stand Seattle. Ever since the Steelers beat them, all I've heard is their fans whining that they got cheated and all this nonsense. And I don't like the city, the area. I don't like their politics. I don't like nothing about Seattle. Now, I don't want to see New England past the Steelers, but if they do, they earned it. They had the sense to move on from a lot of guys. They moved on from Belichick. They went and they got a great coach in Mike Vrabel, a guy that I'd have loved to have. They drafted an excellent young quarterback in May. They've put together a quality, balanced team. And I think if they win, that will make the Steelers get their rear in gear and realize, okay, we're not tied for the top spot anymore. That being said, I expect Seattle to win. The reason I expect Seattle to win is Seattle come through the best division in football. Bar none, nobody else even close. They had to win big game after big game after big game against the Niners, against the Rams. They had a tough road to get to the Super Bowl where New England did not. New England faced a lot of teams that weren't very good. And matter of fact, they lost to the Steelers because they turned it over 5 or 6 times. And they still barely lost. But anyway, I think Seattle wins because they have a better balanced team. I'll take a quarterback, Tate, that in 17 games throws 14 interceptions. Because if you can get me 3 touchdowns and 1 interception, I'll win most games. The occasional mistake, Ben was that way. He was a gunslinger. He took chances. I like that. I don't care if Rodgers went 3 or 4 games and threw no interceptions there, for a long time this year. To me, it was very conservative. It was very meek and boring. I like a guy who's willing to take shots. And not only stay in the pocket and take shots, but take shots downfield. So I think Darnold has showed that. It would be a great redemption story just for him as a young man if they win. Because everybody give up on him, and he didn't give up. So, but as much as I hate Seattle, I think they're going to win. I'll say 28-24 Seattle.
Okay, we're on the same page. I mean, I just, he played well. He's supported by a great defense. I just don't think Darnold is super great. I mean, he had a good year. And he's the only quarterback, the second quarterback only Brady did it to be on 2 14-win teams in a row. 2 seasons, 14 wins. So
he's doing something right.
For that. Yeah.
He's doing something right.
But he also last in the playoffs for Minnesota took 9 sacks against the Rams and got their ass out of there quick too. I remember that too.
Yeah.
But the Seahawks have a better defense. They've been shutting everybody down. So yeah, we'll see. Right now, I'm about to jump on over. Got another show. This is going to call this, man. This is my 3rd in a row, but I'm going to join the little West Coast homie Devin. We changed our show title to Steelers Coast to Coast. About to jump on over there. We're going to talk about some of the same stuff and take your questions if you have any. So on the Know It All's YouTube channel, go ahead, jump over there. I'll be there. It starts at 9:30. But, man, we about to get out of here, myself and Shannon. Until next week, Shannon, go ahead and get us out of here, man. And we out. Peace.